The following presentation is brought to you by Asylum Wargaming
and Rencon. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on a Tuesday night. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. Talking about Age of Sigmar and everything else that is cool. Talking about Warhammer fantasy, easy to learn the rules. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on a Tuesday night. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. Remington's looking so good tonight, in fact, every single week. And his hair is looking so plush, I can hardly speak. I said it's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on a Tuesday night. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. Yes, sir.
the extended edition of the Andy and Rem Show theme song there, which of course will be made available in an even more extended edition on the limited edition soundtrack CD that's going to be coming out at some point. Isn't that right, Mr. Rem?
Coming out end of July, to be precise. Maybe to coincide with RemCon.
Lovely jubbly. So this is episode 54 of the Andy and Rem Show, your one-stop shop for all things Age of Sigmar. And it was quite a slow month. And then a couple of days ago, we started to get this trickle of leaks and news, Age of Sigmar related. And then it was like the first snowball after, just prior to an avalanche coming down on the cabin of YouTube that we're in right now. And we're completely snowed under with Age of Sigmar content.
Oh yeah, baby.
I've described it in all the pre-show advertising as a monkey buttload of topics. And people may be thinking, well, a monkey's not that big. How many topics could you actually fit into a monkey's butt? But I assure you, this is no ordinary monkey. We're talking like King Kong-sized monkey here. So imagine how many topics you could fit into King Kong's butt. And that's how many we have for you tonight.
And whatever the size, Andy, we're willing to give it a go.
We certainly are. So before we start giving it a go, let's have a look at who's in the audience tonight, because we've got quite a packed house as always. We've got Bazooka J Rambo, Darth Plagueis 101, Dreaming Cyborg, Drunken_Elf, Gary Waddingham, Gloomdready Gaming, Graham Rigg, I Don't Know 46, Larry Barber, Matt Skuse, MC1 Gamer, Mickey Genver, Pell Thoron, Ratface, Sebastian Blau, Skeleton Flower, and of course, YouTube newbie. And that guy 513 as well. And yes, someone just drew attention to my background, which is looking a little more orange than usual. I think you'll agree. Slightly more stylish than the green one. And also another aesthetic change on the show this week. You may have noticed that the Mr. Remington facial cutout on the logo for this week is brand spanking new. It's not his usual angry face.
I think it's much more dashing, don't you think?
Well, because of the growth of my hair, I think you started to get a little bit envious of the attention I was getting, so you wanted a bit more of a glamour shot on there, didn't you?
I definitely thought it was time to spruce it up a little. But you know what, Andy? As you're reading the viewers out, I have a question.
Oh, dear.
And we have a I Don't Know 46. Is that correct?
I Don't Know 46. No, it's... Yes, it is, I think.
Is there an I Don't Know 45?
Well, there were a previous I Don't Know 45, 44, 43, and so on, all the way back. It's a long lineage of commenters on YouTube videos.
Well, we're in illustrious company then tonight. 45th. What is it, 46? I don't know, 46. The 46th, I don't know. The generations pass on and on through the Andy and Rem Show.
Well, what about that guy 513? There's been 512 previous incarnations of that guy.
Wow.
So because we do have a monkey buttload, shall we just go straight in, butt first?
Straight in, man.
Okay, here we go. So first things first, let's get a couple of these things out of the way. Just touch on. So on the pre-order section, the Realm Gate Wars and audio drama, Only the Faithful.
Are they still singing that? Jesus Christ.
Well, let's have a look at the description, see if it sounds like it's going to be a good listen. After a grueling journey, the warriors of the Hallowed Knights and Astral Templars have found their quarry in the Sea of Bones. During the hunt, Manfred the Vampire Lord has raised a mighty undead host to protect the Realm Gate he has claimed, whilst Ramus of the Hallowed Knights seeks the vampire's head, and Vandalus of the Astral Templars wants to reclaim the Realm Gate. Both must fight as one and alongside their Auric allies if they are to triumph. Against one of Nagash's Mortarchs, the test will be stern, and only the faithful will prevail.
Kind of gives away the story there at the end, doesn't it?
Yeah, does that grab you by the gonads?
I'd like to read it from the Auric perspective for sure. You know, that could be cool. But will they just be the enemy, or will they be in the first person, so to speak?
Well, they do have to fight alongside their Auric allies.
Ooh.
So we'll see. Maybe we'll get a bit of Auric perspective. Have we not had that previously in any of the fluff so far?
That says £12. How long is it?
That's a bit of a personal question for this show.
Not been shy before, Andy. Come on.
75 minutes. Performed by legendary people that we've never heard of, such as Gareth Armstrong, John Banks, and Ian Brooker. Well, I don't think we need to say much more on that.
Okay, I'd definitely like to listen to that. 75 minutes, well, you know, I guess it's quality rather than quantity they're going for.
Indeed. Let's have a look at this now. This is a very early announcement by Games Workshop standards, isn't it? They don't normally tell you something 2 or 3 months in advance.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. They're changing their ways. And we knew they did like change. But I guess that's
so, Gore Chosen.
Yes.
This September. Arena combat on a tiny little board there with 4 Khorne characters, all of which already exist, by the way.
I like this, right? Because this little Warhammer club I've started at the school I work, the problem is you got the Silver Tower and it's flipping 60 miniatures to paint, and I've only painted about 12 so far. But this Gore Chosen, you're only looking at 4 models to paint and you can get straight in there. So I like that a lot.
That does sound ideal for someone who doesn't want to do a huge amount of painting but still play a game. And it's GW yet again diversifying and spreading their arsenal.
And what of the price, Andy? What of the price?
Well, I don't know. I would hazard to suggest that it might be... It's got to be lower than £30, hasn't it?
I'm sure I saw somewhere it was like $60 or $80, something like that.
It won't be. I don't see how this could be $60. That's like £40.
Do you think the cynic in me is just saying, do you think they're just trying to get rid of these Khorne champions because they didn't sell that well?
Well, they can't have made that many billions of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know, and apparently this has been in the offing for a while.
Okay. Well, yeah, I like it, man. What if, so what you got, it's a trial by combat, and do you have to like kill a bloodthirster at the end or something?
Well, we don't really know any of the details. We can see that they've got stat cards and red dice because it's Khorne after all, and you've got a little chart there, presumably for each player, working their way up in the amount of blood that they've attained for the blood god and skulls for the skull throne and all that.
I like this concept because it doesn't pit good against evil. It's just evil.
Yeah, who's going to be the ultimate champion of Khorne at the end, pretty much?
Just had another wicked brainwave, man. $1 million idea right now. I'm going to give to you guys. Give to Games Workshop for free. A new game called The Moor Pit. How about that? Similar to the Gore Chosen, except it's with ogres. Hey?
The Moor Pit.
Yeah, you know that.
Yes.
You know that Kings of War will be doing that very soon, probably.
Well, we'll keep at least one eyeball on this until September as more details emerge. But shall we go straight onto the meat this week?
Yes.
We've had a couple of little appetizers, as it were. So how about this? bum, bum, bum. Spite Revenants. More Sylvaneth units have appeared. Now, I believe, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first time that an army that had been repacked has now got more models in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. They kind of look like they're in a Blood Bowl stance, don't they? You know?
Yeah, maybe. And they are kind of half tree, half elf, aren't they? You can see the pointy elf ears. It actually looks like an elf is climbing into a tree suit and isn't quite in it yet and has just been interrupted, so he hasn't got that arm in the sleeve yet, doesn't it?
Yeah, I like it a lot. I like it. You think they should have regeneration? Like they kind of grow back?
I'm sure they'll have some kind of regenerative properties.
Or maybe just the tree parts grow back, but not the flesh part. So eventually, when they die, they just become a tree.
I don't know about that. Oh, we've got a couple of comments here. Skeleton Flower doesn't like them and doesn't like the one giant hand.
Okay, well, if Skeleton Flower doesn't like it, I
Yeah,
won't.
there's an opinion you can take to the bank. Right. Next. Tree Revenants. So presumably these will be made with the same kit, but they have a different head with long flowing Andy-like locks, and they have a sword instead of just the big claw.
Now these guys, what are those dark elf guys that ride on horses? And they've got the long hair and they kind of throw magic.
Fire Warlocks.
Yeah, I think this is like a little play on the Doomfire Warlocks, isn't it? Kind of cool. These are my favourite ones. And look at the standard bearer in the middle. That is old school GW, that is. Yeah, that kind of banner. Almost looks metal, doesn't it?
Almost does.
Yeah.
But I do like the long flowing hair, though, which of course I can relate to. But do you think they look better than these ones?
I think, yeah, they look more dangerous. Them swords. Pretty cool.
The sword is mightier than the claw. That's what they say.
Hmm.
Of course, we can't really read the text because it's in French.
What is a revenant?
A revenant, in general, it's a kind of ghost, a kind of spirit, isn't it?
Is it kind of like something that comes back from the dead?
Yes.
You've got Revenant Knights, haven't you? And you've got the Revenant film with what's his name off the Titanic in it.
Different universes have kind of different meanings of revenant, I think, but generally it's kind of ghost pretty much. If anyone knows exactly, then drop it in the comments there.
I like it.
Let's go on to the next one. So look at these bad boys.
Yeah, I like them. How big are they though?
Well, I would imagine these are more kind of ogre-sized or maybe Stormcast-sized.
Right. So this is kind of equivalent to Tree King, I'm thinking.
Most likely, and you can see that the bark has kind of turned into armor plates here.
Well, its bark is definitely worse than its bite.
Well, probably because it doesn't seem to have much of a mouth going on there. It's going to be relying on its handheld weaponry for the most part, I would say. And it could probably kick you a fair bit with these. Those big toes.
There's 5 wounds each. They're big.
That is quite big and beefy, isn't it? What do you think of this overall look, though, with the kind of shoulder pads? Do you think it suits a tree?
Yeah, I mean, is that like, is it on fire?
I don't think so.
It's
definitely in keeping with the direction of Age of Sigmar, isn't it? Everything is really over the top and crazy and elaborate.
They look a lot more humanoid than the Sylvaneth stuff in the past, don't they? They look more man than tree.
They're definitely on their way to becoming a tree. It's like we've discovered the missing link, isn't it, between man and tree?
Yeah, what do you think of the sickle? I think it kind of goes quite well because it's like you use a sickle in the harvest, don't you?
Yes, it's a nice shape as well. You can wrap that round an orc's neck quite easily. What about these ones with bows?
I've not seen these. The first glance at these, they look a bit stubby, don't they? Are they big fellas, these things?
Well, I imagine they're the same kit as this.
Ah. All right, it looks like what you get 3 to a box, maybe, or Yeah.
Yeah, probably 3 or 5 to a box. Most likely 3, I think.
Can you get any closer, Andy?
Oh, you want me to zoom in, do you?
Mm-hmm.
How's that?
Yeah, what's that thing coming out of the ground there? Is that like a bonus thing? Or
It looks like a stump with a spider underneath it.
Ah,
Like a spider tree. It's a spider potted plant.
I like it. See, they used to be called Kurnos, didn't they? The Wild Riders of Kurnos. That's a play on word. Now they're called Kurnoth. I mean,
Maybe they developed a lisp during the end times.
I guess they're struggling to speak, what with branches and twigs coming out their mouths.
Indeed. I
Well,
think it's safe to say all these guys are going to be dishing out tremendous damage.
that one on the bottom left looks pretty kind of Marvel, doesn't it? It's like running with its bow. About to shoot. I like that one best, I think. Yeah.
And what about this lady?
Now this one, I looked at the price. I thought, you know what? That looks more like the old kits, doesn't it? The old tree kits. What are they called? The wood elves. Not tree kid. You know, the small little tree.
Dryads.
Dryads. Yeah, this looks most dryady of them all, apart from the head and the sickle. It's probably my least favourite, to be honest. Especially when I saw the price. I thought maybe you can get 5 of these for to a box, but it's like a character, isn't it?
And interestingly, you said all the other units kind of looked like more human or more elf than tree. If you compare this to the branch wraith, it's actually got way more tree-ish, dare I say. Because the branch wraith was mostly person, wasn't it? With just branches sprouting out here and there. But there's not much personage going on here, apart from the fact that the bark has kind of turned itself into some kind of bra.
Yeah.
And what about this?
I love that. It's like a dreadnought tree, isn't it?
I think it is incredibly cool, but does it look possibly a bit chaotic? Maybe it's just because it's in an identical pose to the Korgorath and all the other chaos, big, gribbly things that come out.
Yeah.
They all seem to have this pose now.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I like it. Is this the kind of the monster one then?
This is certainly the big beastie. What do you think of it? The fact that there is just a torso inside the tree, pretty much.
Yeah, I like it. See on the left, it's like it's got a bit of leg showing there. It's got very long legs. Reaches all the way down to the knee there, doesn't it? Yeah, I like it. I think it's definitely got a weak spot, hasn't it? You know, if I was going to shoot at that thing, I'd definitely aim for the middle fleshy bit.
You certainly would.
And
now,
also, I've noticed, Andy, sorry, if you look at the biceps and thighs, they're honeycombs.
They are, and if you look at this arm, you can see that there's bees all over it.
Oh, wow, good. Let's get a close-up.
Right, here we go. Getting a close-up of the bees. Look at them.
That looks sweet.
Sweet like honey.
Yeah, I'm loving that. That is awesome.
That is an incredible amount of detail that you're having individual bees attached to a model. And I'm assuming its abilities are going to involve some kind of swarm of bees. We do have war scrolls in a minute, but they're in French, so we're not going to delve into them too much.
I think there's one thing missing, and that is a very, very long tongue. She'd have a very long tongue so she can lick herself. It'll taste nice. You know, if she's hungry, give herself a little bit of a licking.
Moving on. Here's some more angles. And this is a rare sight here. The first leakage of anything is usually in French or German, but we've got a bit in English here. Unleashed by a reluctant Everqueen in the darkest days of the Age of Chaos, Draika Hammerdreth is a terrible and vicious foe, driven by a black and terrible madness. Well, I think this is among the coolest models that they've done in recent times. It's definitely right up there, isn't it? Moving on.
I'm actually beside myself at the minute.
Are you indeed? Well, look at this. This is obviously the star attraction, the giant 3-horned beetle monster thing.
Yep, this is straight out of Starship Troopers, isn't it? Look at that. Look at that beetle. Yeah, it's cosmic.
It is, and the paint job reflects that clearly.
It's almost like it's definitely two models there, isn't it? I mean, the Alariel at the top, if you just zoom in, Andy, it is just stunning. And the paint job's phenomenal as well. It's like Golden Demon style, man. It's so subtle with its colour choices. It's almost like a flat painting, isn't it, from there?
I feel I'm going to have to advise you not to buy this model, Mr. Remington.
Why?
Because people may be aware of what happens to your models when you take them anywhere for a game, but it's not a pretty sight. They all get shoved into one giant box, and anytime there's a speed bump, pieces are going to go flying, and I don't think these wings would last 10 minutes in your car.
Yeah, they do look a bit fragile, don't they? Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'd just have it for the woman herself, you know, have a wingless. But the beetle, what do you think of the beetle? Would you go into combat riding on a giant dung beetle? When she's supposed to be the lady of flowers, the lady of the forest. It's like, I'd imagine that a dung beetle would be the last thing she rides on.
Well, it may be a kind of evolutionary cousin of the dung beetle. Instead of rolling dung, it just rolls death.
I mean, it'd be hard to kill that thing. I mean, where do you start?
I don't even know. It's just nothing but armor. Maybe it's got a weak spot right in the middle of its mouth, like some kind of game boss. You know, as they often do, a big glowing spot that opens up when they're charging up.
It's very odd miniature, isn't it? If you just scroll up a little bit, Andy, so you can see the whole thing. It's very, I don't know. Yes, it's awesome, but they don't look like they fit together. It's not like you can see it actually straddled on it, like holding its pincers, commanding it to go where she wants.
You think this should be more of a wild, untamed beast with maybe a different rider on it, someone who's struggling to control it rather than such a noble-looking queen?
Yeah, because obviously she's very graceful. I imagine her just sort of pouncing and floating about in like mystical swirls. Not like a solid shit beetle, excuse my language. But you know, having said that, it is pretty cosmic, and she's maybe having an effect on it because you can see little shrubbery growing from its hide.
Shrubberies growing from its hide. What is the world coming to? Well, I'm going to refer to the comments a little bit here because Matt Skuse, who is a beetle expert, says it's not a dung beetle, it's a rhinoceros beetle. Which is right, so you don't have to worry about it going anywhere near dung, Mr. M. Mickey Jenver says that she would separate them. Both are great, but they don't quite go together. Maybe it's the paint scheme, maybe it's the camera angle, maybe we'll get a better look at it at some point in the very near future, and people change their minds.
Talking of camera angles, I found a new trick on the Games Workshop website.
Oh dear.
You know when you get a model and you can do a 360 of it?
Yep.
You know you can go up and down as well. There you go. Try that, ladies and gentlemen. You can zoom the camera to go, like, you know, roll around the top as well.
Remington and technology. Learn something new every day, don't you? Well, we've got another picture so you can see exactly how big this is and how big everything else is for that matter, because they're coming up against some big fat oryx. You can see the various units here. Let's zoom in a bit. So what do you think size-wise?
That's humongous. It's like, this is a big release, isn't it? It's kind of just totally, this, you know, everything out of the elves is gone now, I guess. So far away from what we had before. I mean, what are those things on the right? Are they old school?
Those on the right, they...
Are they dryads? No.
They could be dryads.
We'll put it this way, I think the elves needed something powerful because judging by our last battle report, they were so weak, weren't they? Even a few savage orcs defeated you.
Well, the scenarios I don't think were particularly balanced in their favour.
Yeah, it's good stuff though.
Very, very, very tasty indeed. So let's drop the screen share for a minute so people can actually see our wonderful faces for a little while. And let's see what the audience have been saying about this. MC1 Gamer, I can totally see those used for 40k conversions. And Bazooka Jerambo said, get it for a Gene Stealer conversion. Now, talk like that on this show is generally considered sacrilege, and people have been given lifetime bans for less. So I'm going to have to tell them to be very careful and watch their steps. Let's see. Notched Spear felt bad for Cyril. I'm assuming he means Cecil, the magical unicorn, who you inadvertently named Cyril in your battle report. So I'm thinking it was actually his cousin, which is why they didn't win at all. Because Cecil wouldn't have allowed that massacre to take place. Let's see. Pel Thoron. I'm going to put her on a huge white stag instead. That could work. Let's see. YouTube newbie. It's a dung beetle because the scarabaeus was the symbol of renewal in ancient Egypt. Newbie. Fountain of knowledge. Who would have thought? Matt Skew says, actually, it's a mix of a stag beetle and a rhinoceros beetle. So there's a lot of debate going on in the comments about the particular inspiration for this beetle. It looks like they've kind of made a beetle hybrid, and why not? Let's see. Mickey Genver would have preferred a normal beetle. Well, I don't know. Normal beetles are a little bit boring, aren't they? But I think the overall winner is the fact that there is a miniature now wearing bee body armor. If you were predicting a miniature that would exist at some point, if you had to predict the most obscure model that they could ever come out with, a model that covers itself in bees wouldn't have been on my list. And the bees aren't even in the shape of a beard, but you could probably convert it that way if you want. Because you know the beard of bees was a well-known record that people would try to beat. I think it's one of those records that they don't allow you to go for anymore because it's quite dangerous.
Well, I think the halflings is the way in for the halflings now, because they've just appeared in the new realms. Is this goddess, this bee goddess, and the halflings are attracted by the sweet-smelling scent.
I think you're getting your hopes up a little too much there if you're thinking halflings are going to have any part to play in Age of Sigmar. In an official capacity, at least. We can't totally rule it out, but it seems unlikely, shall we say.
Well, pygmies then. I'll settle for pygmies.
You'll always settle for pygmies. Hashtag settle for pygmies. Bazooka J. Rambo says, unleash the bees. Yeah, but it's pretty unanimous that everyone loves the bees. So, as a Wood Elf player of old, I don't know how many times you actually played with the army. I don't think it was that many. But as a Wood Elf collector of old, shall we say, how do you feel about this wave of releases where they've kind of merged the tree and the elf into one?
It's fabulous, isn't it? It's fabulous. But I mean, I can't. It's taken me like 6-7 years, right, to get the Wood Elf stuff where it is now. So, I mean, in 7 years' time, will I finish painting this stuff? I doubt it.
Maybe by the Andy and Rem Show episode 500, you'll be able to show us a finished giant beetle.
I think I'll get one or two of these models, sure.
Yeah, you can easily mix them in with what you've got now, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Which one are you thinking? The bee armored lady?
The bee armored lady, yeah. Or the beetle, but I don't know whether maybe that's a step too far for my painting skills. I don't know. Or look, the revenants. I like them guys.
Yeah, they'd go nicely with your existing dryads, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
The dryads, which got oddly weaker in the Age of Sigmar rules compared to 8th edition. I mean,
I was a bit disappointed, Andy, that when you used my treekin, you ended up substituting them for dryads, and you didn't want to use them as treekin. About £30 they cost me.
Well, shall we have a look at the war scrolls in French?
All right.
How can you possibly have anything more exciting than that?
God. War scrolls, man. Come on.
I know you love your war scrolls, Mr. Remington.
Come on, let's get through them quick because I've got a brilliant what the hell is that waiting for you guys.
Oh god, that's going to take half an hour. If it's getting more difficult every week, it was impossible the last 2 weeks, wasn't it?
No, there's always one smart ass that will get it. Come on.
Okay, now we're not going to try and read any of this, but the website that I harvested these images from did have a rough translation of this war scroll, so I'll give you some of the details in a moment. But you can see 16 wounds, so it's a big one. 3+ save, bravery 10, nothing unexpected there. So it's a Wardroth beetle, by the way, if anyone was wondering, and its antlers have a 2-inch range. 5 attacks for the beetle, and the damage, when it's only taken 4 wounds or less, then those giant antlers that have 5 attacks are going to do 5 damage each.
I mean, that beetle having a 3-up save, that's immense, man.
I mean, that's looking pretty tremendous already, and we haven't even looked at the other weapons. I mean, the Talon of the Dwindling has 4 attacks. That's only doing 1 damage each, though. But it's those antlers I'd be worried about. I'd be shooting this thing immediately to get that antler damage whittled down. I mean, but even all the way up to 7 and 8 and all the way up to 10 attacks, it's still doing 3 per attack, which is pretty tasty. So let's have a look at the special rules here. So for the Talon of the Dwindling, for each character injured but not killed, roll 2 dice. If the result is double 6 or higher than the current wound characteristic of the model, it is slain. So if you roll a double 6, or if it's just higher than their wound characteristic, then it's instantly killed.
1 in 36 chance.
Or if you roll higher than their wound characteristic.
Oh, right. Wow. So what if that character is on a big beast as well?
Yeah, but it'd be more difficult to get above its wounds characteristic then. But if you've already attacked it, then you're probably going to be doing quite a bit of damage with these attacks in the first place. Yeah. So yeah, any medium character is in serious jeopardy against that, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
Blossomed Life, heal D3 wounds in each of your hero phase.
Oh.
So yeah, shooting it might not be that helpful at all.
Does she
after
have
all,
1 spell per go?
Is what?
You think she gets more than 1 spell per turn?
Well, let's see if there's anything about that in here. So, swiping blows. You can add 1 to hit rolls for the Wardroth Antlers attack if the enemy unit has 5 models or more.
Wow.
So it's already tremendous. It's already wounding on 3+. It's going to be hitting on 3+ as well, with the -2 rend. So, yeah, that's beastly. Another one, Living Ram. If the Wardroth Beetle ends a charge move 1 inch away from a scenery piece, every other unit in that scenery piece takes D3 mortal wounds.
Wow. Look at his movement as well, 16-inch.
Yeah, when it's not taking any damage, 16-inch move, that is quite incredible. So you don't even want to be in terrain when you're around this thing, because that is just going to shred you. If you've got multiple small units in terrain, you're going to be toast against this thing. Let's see.
It's kind of fair enough, Andy. If you looked at those stats of those Chaos Demon big things.
Yeah, all the stuff is pretty beastly nowadays.
Yeah.
And a giant beetle should, by rights, be incredible in combat. The Amphorus of Souls. In a hero phase, Alariel rolls 1d6 and look at the result on the table. And you can choose any ability lower than the result of the dice. So 1 to 3, every Sylvaneth at 30 inches heals D3 wounds, which is quite amazing. If you roll a 4, or if you roll above 4, then set up 2d6 Dryads. So this isn't a spell you can dispel, this is just Dryads will appear. 5, set up d6 Tree Revenants.
Wow.
And 6, set up a Tree Lord.
Bloody hell. As long as you got their models, I guess. I mean, even if you had a point system and she cost loads and loads of points, you could just start with her, couldn't you, and get a few of these results going, and suddenly you got a little army.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, that's not even a magic spell. And she is a wizard as well, so you can be doing that and then summoning models as well.
Yeah. Grant Wilson is here. He's a newbie to this show, I believe. So welcome.
Yes, we always welcome newbies, not necessarily YouTube newbie, but everybody else, certainly.
Grant is an open invitation to RemCon. Straight off the bat for you, pal.
You tapping up RemCon attendees while I'm going through this war scroll, Mr. Remington. That's disgraceful.
Cool promotion.
People should know that they have a choice between RemCon and Andy Palooza, and quite frankly, all the cool kids are going to be at Andy Palooza.
Yeah, all the spammers, all the trolls. That's where they go.
We'll see. Okay, moving on. Here's the magic now. So, Metamorphosis. Pick an enemy unit up to 16 inches away. Casting value of 5, so that's pretty easy. Roll as many dice as the casting result. Every 4+ inflicts a mortal wound. If the last model of the unit is killed, then set up a Sylvaneth Wildwood where the unit was.
Wow. Yeah, I'm loving this, man. It's a really imaginative rules, aren't they? Kind of cool,
Yeah.
man.
And remember how many of the special rules for the Sylvaneth units rely on being near or in a Sylvaneth Wildwood. For example, you can teleport your tree men around the place using wildwoods. So if you're just sprouting up new wildwoods left and right on the enemies that you're killing, it's pretty tremendous. And let's have a look at the command ability here. So Wrath of Gairan. Once per battle, you can re-roll all wound rolls of all Sylvaneth units until your next hero phase.
Yeah, that's all right. It's all right, isn't it?
I'd say that's better than all right. When everything's in combat, being able to re-roll all wound rolls, so that's not just in combat, that's combat, shooting, magic, anything that can inflict wounds, you're going to be re-rolling it for the entire turn.
How'd you get that off?
That's just the command ability.
What? That's a joke, man.
Once per battle, though, so you've got to pick the right time to use it. But that is still amazing. And if you leave it too late, of course, you might be dead, but probably not looking at these stats. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, pretty cool, man. I bet this model costed like £100, doesn't it? Something like that.
It's going to be probably like Star Drake kind of price, I imagine.
Mm.
So now we don't have translations for the rest of these, so we're just going to look very, very quickly. But this is the big one with the bees.
10 wounds, I see. Not bad.
Yes, Colony of Flitter Furies. I imagine that's the bees.
Uh-huh.
Or Swarm of Squirmlings. Yeah, so let's have a look. I mean, most of this is going to be special rules probably. But the Squirmlings, I don't know what that's referring to because it says see below.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we could look at this next week when it's all in English.
We certainly can. When it's all in English, we'll have a proper look. But 10 wounds, bravery 8, another 3+ save.
Yeah.
2d6 attacks there, 4+4+. And slashing talons,
2 damage.
6 of those attacks, 2 damage on each. But then as soon as you get up to 3 wounds, it starts dropping off, but not by an obscene amount. And the Colony of Flitter Furies, so the range of that is 18 inches to start with. So it's like sending out a swarm of bees at the enemies. And I imagine there's probably more related to all this. Yeah, there's some nice French text there that we'll delve into when it's in English. The Branch Witch. Looks like your standard caster kind of stats. The save isn't quite as good, only 5 wounds. Not much in the way of attacking, but not too horrendous. And of course, it's a wizard. The Kernoth Hunters have 5 wounds each, and they have a 4+ save. And their weapons, that looks pretty tasty. The Kernoth Scythe, I imagine Only one of them probably has that. If it hits on 3+ wounds on 3, d3 damage. If they all have that, then the other weapons probably have special rules to bring them up to that kind of level as well. Because usually they have a couple of weapon options. One of them's pretty standard, and then another one relies on a special rule to become awesome. But obviously we don't speak French, so we're going to have to wait for that one as well. And the Tree Revenants, 1 wound each. So these are your smaller ones. 5+ save, only bravery 6, and nothing too amazing on these. These are just your standard troops, but maybe they've got something juicy in here in French. And the Spite Revenant's probably something similar, which we'll get to. So we'll actually have something to talk about rather than just getting it all out of the way this week, because, like I said, this is a monkey buttload, isn't it?
It is. I guess if you could buy these guys, they're good for summoning, I suppose. Yeah, the Tree Revenants.
Now, I think we can stop looking at these for now. We've got a little bit more juicy stuff to look at in a minute.
Yeah.
But, Mr. Remington, shall we head into your favourite parts of the show right now?
Oh, I think we should, Andy. I really do. And you'll like this one.
That's right, folks. It's time for What the Hell Is That? Mr. Remington is about to flash up a picture on the screen of a horrible abomination, a chimera of different miniatures combined, with their pieces representing each body part. If it's anything like last week, it's going to be quite difficult and grotesque. If you get into the comments and manage to name every single miniature that's represented, how many are there, Mr. Rem, this week?
There are 6.
6 miniatures represented in the picture. The first person to get all 6 right, or the person who's got the highest amount when we just give up because it's too difficult, will be the winner, and will win a Balsa Wood membership for this show, which means you're allowed to watch as close to the screen as you like. So, Mr. Rem, would you like to bring us the What the Hell Is That theme song?
What the hell is that? 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 Only Andy and Remington know. What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Only Andy and Remington know. All right, ladies and gents, get ready. Close your eyes. Keep them closed now.
I don't think they're going to do that.
Get ready, because here it comes. What the hell is that?
Bum, 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 bum. That is truly a monstrosity. So, let's analyze this image a little bit. We've obviously got a staff. It seems to have some kind of hideous gun-axe hybrid on the other arm. It's wearing some kind of cloak. And to my eye, it has 2 rashers of bacon hanging off its shoulders. What on earth could it be? What the hell is that, folks?
6 models fused together from Remington's Forge.
Remington's Forge of Maliciousness.
Oh, now, I can't see your comments because I'm screen sharing.
Well, I'll read them out as the guesses come in. Andretti just said that picture actually gave her PTSD.
What's that?
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
Oh, okay.
Sebastian Blau just says, no clue where the axe is from. Well, that doesn't constitute a guess, does it?
The axe is probably the hardest part of this model to guess.
Now, come on, people. We don't want to see you guessing for individual components. We want guesses for all 6 of them. If you're just guessing for one piece, then you're just making it easier for someone else to win, aren't you? Graham Rigg says, I thought 40k was banned.
No, there's no 40k in this, I can assure you.
Well, there you go. No 40k. All Warhammer Fantasy / Age of Sigmar.
I think I've stumped them this week, Andy.
I think Notched Spear wants someone to make a custom, what the hell is that? Battle tome with converted miniatures.
Well, I'm saving all these pictures, so at some point I'll let you download it as a PDF. Or
yeah, if someone converts them all up, we should do a what the hell is that special. where we get people to convert them, and then we'll come up with some war scrolls with help from the audience for them.
Amazing to make real models out of these, wouldn't it? And just have an army of what the hell is that models.
It would. It's quite hideous. Oh, we've got a proper guess here from Jamie Bates. So, are you paying attention, Mr. Rem?
I'm ready.
Chaos Sorcerer Lord, the Changeling, Bloodletter Legs, Hellblaster Volley Gun, Skaven Plague Censer Bearer, Old School Dwarf Axe.
So close, but just so far.
Were a few of them correct?
Yes.
Let's see. Mickey Genver has put in a guess as well. Skaven Plague Priest, Volley Gun, Chaos Sorcerer, Bloodletter, Gaunt Summoner, Krell Axe.
4 points.
Pretty close.
You know what? They're doing better than I thought.
Well, MC1 Gamer has kind of guessed, but each one of his guesses is another derivative of I don't know. So I don't think he really has any idea. Oh, we've got YouTube Newbie. Zench Sorcerer's Staff, Hellblaster Volley Gun, Barrel, Krell's Axe Head, and something from a Bloodthirster.
I think he got 2 points.
Matt Skuse, Chaos Sorcerer Lord, Bloodletters, Hellblaster Volley Gun, Skaven Plague Censer Bearer, Curseling, Lord of Zench.
5 points.
So close. Only one incorrect there, as decreed by Mr. Remington. Will L, Chaos Sorcerer, Bloodletter, Hellblaster, Skaven Plague Censer, Curseling, Krell Axe.
Say again quickly. Sorry.
Was that exactly the same as the
This
previous guess?
I think it was actually. So I think you got at least one wrong there.
Here's one from Dino Titan Edition, which is an amazing name. Skaven Plague Hero, Chaos Sorcerer, Bloodletter Legs, Hellblaster Volley Gun, Old Corn Hero Axe, and Curseling.
Oh, so close. So close. Just a half a point away.
Raphael Marge, Chaos Sorcerer Lord, Bloodletter Legs, Hellblaster Volley Gun, Skaven Plague Censer Bearer, Aspiring Deathbringer Axe.
That was only 5. Them again? Were there 6 in there or 5?
I think there were only 5 in there, actually, for that guess. Fluffy Dread, Zenchian Chaos Sorcerer Lord, Curseling, Bloodletter, Hellblaster, Skaven Plague Censer Bearer, Krell Axe.
No, do you know what? The guy before the last answer got all 5 of those correct, but they didn't get the 6th one.
Let's see, who else? We've got Sebastian Blau, I don't think had a guess yet. Deathbringer Axe, Sorcerer Lord, Curseling, Skaven Plague Monk, Hellblaster Volley Gun.
What the hell is that? What the hell is that? You've got it and you're the winner of the show. There you go.
Bum, 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 bum.
Now let me just show you.
So was it actually a Plague Monk and not a Plague Censer Bearer?
I don't know what the correct thing is, so I'll show you because I've written them down here. So I'll just show you this, the final...
Could be a controversial moment here.
Here comes the reveal. All right.
So it is a Plague Censer Bearer.
Yes, the legs of one.
Censer
No, it's the Village. It's Village the Curseling.
Right, let me just see, because I think somebody else actually got this. So Chaos Sorcerer, Bloodletter, Hellblaster Volley Gun, Plague Censer Bearer. Aspiring Deathbringer, and no, they didn't say Curseling on that one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Stu Gibson, Chaos Sorcerer, Plague Priest now. I think Raphael Marge got it, actually. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that anywhere near in the correct manner. But
wow. Well, the winner gets to create their own model out of this wonderful amalgamation. How about that? The prize.
Well, I'm not sure that's much of a prize, but they do get the Balsa Wood membership.
Oh, that's all right then. Well, what do you think? Last week we missed the next section of our show, Andy. But I didn't forget.
Well, it was quite packed last week since we were summing up an entire year in the space of an hour and a half.
It was, and we didn't do Nerd Confession.
Do you have a song for Nerd Confessions?
I believe I do.
Oh dear, oh dear. Well, folks, while he's playing that song, if you've got any nerd confessions, anything you want to confess that puts you in the bracket of ultimate nerd or ultimate geek or dweeb, if you will, then drop it in the comments right now.
What's your nerd confession, baby? I don't think it's very cool. What's your nerd confession, baby? Gonna take me back to school. What's your nerd confession, baby? What's your nerd confession, baby? What's your nerd confession?
That was a bit of an abrupt ending to the song. Let's see.
Hey, what's your nerd confession, Andy? Come on.
I gave one last time.
No. I'll tell you what mine is. My nerd confession is putting your finished models out in plain view, and there's so many of them there that you can't bring yourself to paint another one. You just like to stare at them, and it's kind of it becomes even more of an obstacle. So I recommend putting your painted models away and just leaving an unpainted one or two out. It's much more, gets you in the mood better, I think.
Well, I've got one, if it qualifies. It might be more of an OCD confession rather than a nerd confession. But if I paint something just before I'm going to bed and I make a mistake, and I then go to bed, if I try and go to bed, then I'll just be lying there thinking, there's that model with a mistake on it upstairs. And I'll have to literally go and correct it before I can sleep. If there's something wrong, it has to be fixed then and there.
God, I bet you're up all night regularly, aren't you?
Well, that's because I'm the ultimate party animal.
Right, have we got any audience confessions?
Let's see. Well, Mickey Genver watches the Andy and Rem show, which is a nerd confession in itself. Even though, of all the YouTube shows, we're probably the hippest, I would say. At least my half of it. I don't know about Rem. I don't know whether you're still in touch with what's cool in society.
Yeah, I keep my ears to the ground, so to speak.
Do you have your finger on society's pulse?
Well, if you're in tune with the young uns, I think you're always kind of in tune with what's going on.
Indeed. Let's see. Any others in there? Any other confessions? Let's see. Oh, here's one. Andrew Wade paints in his underwear.
Oh, that's lovely.
Well, it does prevent any accidental spillages from staining clothing items.
Shame. Shame. Shame.
Oh, we've got one here from Fluffy Dread. I make machine gun noises when I fire my Skaven Rattling guns in a game. I'm not sure if that's as bad as shouting Remington every time you make a dice roll.
Oh, everyone loves that, man. Well, that MC1 Gamer, he's been a bit quiet, but he's got loads of nerd confessions there.
I bet he has.
Apparently he was drunk on the last show.
Was he indeed? Well, we were celebrating 1 year of the show.
Yeah, fair
So
play.
we can forgive him that. Now, while other people are plucking up the courage to reveal their confessions, reveal themselves, if you will, in the chat, we've got a couple more things to look at here. So let's crack the old screen share open again. So first of all, we've got this here map, which is for the upcoming worldwide campaign, which is now confirmed entirely taking place within the realm of life.
So this was voted for, was it?
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I think it was just announced it was going to be the realm of life that they're going to be focusing the first campaign on. So let's read some of this text. Gairan is the most verdant and green of the mortal realms. It is a land of dense forests, snow-capped mountains, and lush plains, as well as far stranger things, landscapes saturated with the magic of life. Throughout the age of chaos, the forces of Nurgle have sought to corrupt the realm and bring it under the sway of their foul god. Now, as the storm of Sigmar breaks across the realms, the children of Alariel sense an awakening and stir once more for war. But they will not be the only force that seeks to claim these lands. Then we've got this image as well.
Ooh, the seeds of love. I mean, the seeds of hope.
In the realms of life, 3 cities rose, bastions of order emerged from the desolation of chaos. But had the forces of Sigmar been too keen to establish their claim to Gairan? A season of war comes, one that will decide if these cities would flourish into something greater, or be cast down by the vengeful hosts of jealous gods.
Interesting. Just looking at that picture of the city in the sky, you'd have to wonder about their drainage and sewage systems, wouldn't you? 'Cause
You'd have to pity the people that live underneath, wouldn't you?
it's not very deep.
Although if they can hold up their city with chains and suspend it in the sky, one would imagine that they have the means to magically teleport their sewage to, let's say, the realm of death, perhaps.
You know what? I think that's an ingenious idea, because at least they can be satisfied that there won't be an under-empire of Skaven, breeding underneath their city.
Well, there might be, but they're going to have quite a way to jump. They could probably run up those chains, although they do seem to be electrified.
I hadn't thought of just electrocuting Skaven. I don't think anyone's ever tried that before.
Hashtag electrocute Skaven. We've got this one here as well. The muster begins, whether you're fighting for Sigmar or serving the ever-chosen. Marching to Nagash's will, or a force of destruction. You'll find all the war scrolls and battalions in the Warhammer Age of Sigmar app. So yes, you have the opportunity to play as all of these factions. So you can represent any of the grand alliances, pretty much. So no one is locked out of this battle. It's not just between 2 specific sides. Everyone is involved. Everyone can try and lay claim to these 3 cities that have sprouted up in the realm of life. Gairan. So, what do you think of this, Mr. Rem?
I'm just Googling a picture of an electrocuted rat.
Oh dear.
I'd love to see an army of frazzled rats. Wouldn't it be good?
An army of frazzled rats. Frazzled rat. That sounds suspiciously like a children's TV program with puppets to me. All right.
I can show you something quite cute.
This is going to be horrifying, isn't it? We don't want to see electrified dead animals on the Andy and Rem show.
You know what? Just looking at those images, I can see where Games Workshop got a lot of their ideas from. For the what's the Skaven clan that kind of, is it Skyer? Clan Skyer. That kind of build things out of rats and put wires in them and stuff. And no. All right. Anyway, here you go. I can share. Here we go. There we go. That's what an electrocuted rat looks like.
Well,
it'd be more frazzled than that.
Just imagine that it would be wearing some armor and maybe it has a little sword, and it's a Skaven clan rat that's just decided to gnaw on that chain holding the city up, and that's what would happen.
A dirty rat.
Well then, we've actually got a few more nerd confessions. YouTube Newbie's nerd confession is that actually he doesn't mind AOS, even though he's been very anti Age of Sigmar in his comments. Secretly, he's very much a fan. Wasgob has a nerd confession that I think you're partly responsible for the breakup of his relationship here. Because, nerd confession, I shouted out Remington at a certain point, and now my partner thinks I'm cheating on her.
I love it. If you'd like me to send you a signed photo explaining everything to your wife, then I will do that.
Actually, I think you should make a little device, like a little pet Remington, maybe an app even, and then when you press on its face, it just says Remington.
What about if we could get the dice bag lady to make some Remington dice? And they either always roll a 1 or a 6. How about that? They're loaded dice. But you can sort of disguise them among your other dice.
You're still going with the conspiracy that the dice that she sells are somehow biased.
I don't know, mate. I think she put magical charms on them, the people she sells them to.
Quite possibly. Sebastian Blau has a confession here. I have a small amount of very localized white hair, and I sometimes paint it with Agrax Earthshade.
If you try Just for Men, it's probably cheaper.
I wonder if you could use that to wash your miniatures in.
What, Just for Men?
Yeah. Has anyone ever tried that? Dino Titan Edition plays a lot of Blood Bowl, and I actually make hitting sounds or shout "pow" when the dice roll.
Pow?
Pow.
Pow doesn't have the same force as Remington.
Andrew Wade is off to bed, which is quite a confession, going to bed before the end of the show. That's one way to get yourself lowered in our estimations. Let's see, any more?
MC1 Gamer says, don't give Remington the keys. Trust Remington. We'll look after you.
So I suppose we should talk a little bit about the worldwide campaign. Are you looking forward to it? Have you seen anything that makes you believe this is going to have more lasting consequences than any of the previous campaigns that didn't really mean anything in the long run?
Yeah, look, the danger is they're going to start to nerf units, aren't they? If one faction gets gets too powerful. You know, we're in the carousel now, aren't we? We started with a carte blanche. A little bit of rules come through, more rules get added on. You know what I mean? And then more rules get added on, and suddenly it's all stacking up out of control. You know? I'm still painting grey models here. You know, I haven't even got that far. But yeah, there's people out there that are having battles. They're in competitions. And if you want to join in, RemCon is the next one on the calendar, surely.
Well, RemCon Andy Palooza, we could actually put on a big game, a series of games, and then a final showdown at the end, and we could report the results for this worldwide campaign, couldn't we?
That's fantastic. So do you have to use this General's Handbook?
Not for this, as far as I'm aware.
Okay. So maybe we can start on Thursday or Friday when I'm coming up to your gap?
Yes, perhaps. Although the campaign hasn't actually started yet, but we could just make note of all the games we played and then just report 1,000 of them at once and overload the system. I will say, as far as the long-lasting consequences of this campaign, the soil has never been more ripe for them to actually allow their fan base and their players and customers to affect the world, because it's a clean slate. If we corrupt this little area they're giving us to play with, it's not going to taint everything else. It's not like the old world, where if the player base go one way, you could just destroy half the continent and they'd be ruined forever. They've sprung up these cities, and they're basically saying, this is something new, lay a claim to it, and we'll write the future fluff with you in mind from there. So I think the player results will factor in quite heavily to where they're going in the future. I don't think that they're going to be shrugged off like so many previous worldwide campaigns have been. I think it's a pretty safe bet that we're going to have some impact on the world. Fluffy Dread says, when is RemCon? Well, very, very soon, Mr. Remington, you're going to have a little bit of free time on your hands. So we are going to arrange RemCon/Andy Palooza at some point this summer, definitely. So some point in the next few weeks we're looking at. We'll find a list of the potential dates and we'll put it up on the Andy and Rem Show Facebook group, and people can vote on there for which days would be preferable to their needs.
It's going to be a party. It's going to be at Warhammer World. Warhammer World, in fact, have already been in consultation with me and Andy, and they're willing to, set up half of Warhammer World just for RemCon, and they're putting aside a couple of the little painting tables for let's call it the minor event. They're still just as important, which is Andy Palooza.
See, what I heard was that they're putting aside half of the gaming hall for Andy Palooza, and they're putting aside Bugman's Bar for RemCon.
That could work because I have many guests coming.
Well then.
But just to warn you, the main hall may be a little bit dead.
We've got a comment here from Dreddy. RemCon and Andy Palooza will be at a McDonald's drive-in parking lot near you very soon.
I don't do McDonald's, my darling. No.
I do.
Processed foods, no good. No good.
Now then, we have got a couple more things to look at here. We've got a couple of snippets from the General's Handbook. So just to give you some idea of what we're going to see in there, look at this. Bum, bum, bum. So you've got amounts of units, you've got point levels. So there's quite a few restrictions they're going to put in place on you. If you want to play in the proper manner, shall we say, the manner with points.
I like that.
Competitive play.
Any other unit, you have as many as you like of whatever else, but one to two. Just looking at the Vanguard one, just up to 2 monsters, 2 artillery pieces. What does the battle line mean? 2+. What does that mean? Is that 2+ units? Or?
There'll be some units that are considered battle lines. They'll be like your core units.
Oh.
So you have to have at least 2 of them. So it's a way to force people to take more balanced lists, pretty much.
Right. So if you're having that Sylvaneth stuff we looked at, you'd have to have, a couple of the crappy ones.
Yeah, you couldn't just have 3 giant beetles and nothing else if you wanted to play the competitive mode.
Okay.
Then we've got a couple of example pages here of some of the units and actual point values for them.
Right.
Now, we're not overly familiar with the Forces of Chaos. We haven't played a great deal of them, but we can see the gist of it here, that they have a minimum size and a maximum size. And so the amount of points you pay will be for the minimum,
right.
And then you'll multiply that by however many you have. So if you take 20, you double that to 120 points.
I got you.
If you take 25, though, I did read that you just count that as the next level up.
Yeah.
So you would count the next 5 as a full 10.
I'm just quickly looking at a couple of the units there. Chaos Lord on a Manticore is 300 points, whereas a Demon Prince is only 160. So you can almost get 2 Demon Princes for a Manticore. And we know through playing the Manticore with the Dark Elves that they're not that good, really, especially once they get wounded.
I would say that also look, and you'll see that it has Leader and Behemoth in the same unit. So that's going to be taking up 2 slots in your list.
God, that's... Oh. Well, look, listen, all these people that went away from Age of Sigmar because they didn't think it was competitive and it didn't have any points, do you think we'll see these guys coming back now?
I think we'll see a few of them maybe coming back now that there's points. A few of them had already kind of come back, though, hadn't they?
Yeah.
Once the initial hatred had died down.
Marauder Horseman, 5 for 100 points. Seems a bit pricey, that, doesn't it?
Yeah, so it's still not so crazily detailed as 8th edition. You're not paying for individual upgrades like standard bearers, so I think it's assumed that you would always have one and a musician in all your units.
Yeah.
It's pretty much telling you what size of units you're going to have, though, isn't it? Because you're not going to want to have wasted points.
Okay, well...
It's got an example of some lizard men here as well, some Seraphon.
Okay.
So we're not ridiculously familiar with the Seraphon either, are we?
No. Just look at that Carnosaur. See the old blood on Carnosaur, 320 points.
Lord Croak is 540 points.
Wow. Now, one thing I've actually read about in this General's Handbook, it's got some limitations on things like spells. So the one that I read about was you can't, if a spell fails, you cannot cast it again in that turn. But let's say you've got 2 sorcerers and one of them casts a Mystic Shield and it fails, then the other one can't cast that. And also you can't stack things that attack again and again and again. So if you get a successful wound and your special rule says now you can re-roll on successful wounds, you can only do that once. So something like the Ripidactyl has a rule that it kind of can keep attacking in a frenzy, keep wounding. Well, it can't anymore. It can only do that once.
Yes, and rolling a 1 for a hit or a save or whatever is auto fail, from what I saw. I was watching Mr. MC1 Gamer's channel and he did a video on all that.
Yeah, 1 always fails.
Yes, so just a couple of extra touches. They haven't completely revamped the entire game. They've just bolted some extra things onto it, which make it a bit more conducive to competitive play, as far as I can see.
And are these rules free?
Well, the General's Handbook won't be free.
Right.
So whether you would have access to just the pure rules that are in the General's Handbook without actually buying the book, I would say probably not.
So it's just rules, and then the points. Where do you get the points from?
The points will be in the General's Handbook.
Ah, but aren't there lots of units that haven't been made yet and haven't been released?
Yes, they'll probably start adding those in, or they'll bring out a second General's Handbook compendium later on with extra stuff in it.
I was gonna say, but I guess there's Sylvaneth that are coming out. There's a book for those, isn't there? I wonder if that has the points in them for them.
I think all the points will probably be available free, but there may be special things within the General's Handbook that aren't available otherwise.
Right. Okay. So what do you think? Should we try it?
Well, I think we're going to have to give it a try when we get our hands on the General's Handbook. I noticed some people, some media celebrities, some C-listers were getting early copies, but we didn't get one. They're not really embracing the YouTube personalities, are they?
No, I mean, you've been really trying, haven't you, to just be kind of like that BBC anchorman kind of thing, you know? Maybe it's me, and maybe I'm too left field for this Games Workshop. I don't know.
Well, maybe it's what the hell is that? Maybe we stumped one of their top executives and we've been blacklisted.
Yeah. Either way, guys, you're watching the only truly indie show to do with Warhammer.
I've had a thought, actually. It could be when we went to Warhammer World that time and all the staff were just in awe of us and they didn't do any work for the whole day. That's probably it.
Or maybe it was when they had that whole, you know, that whole trolley full of the silver towel boxes. And I almost tried to steal one. Maybe that was a bad move.
Anyway, GW, we're waiting. You can extend that olive branch, that Sylvaneth olive branch. Anyway, moving on. I think we've got quite a lot of comments, actually. Let's see if anyone's commented on the point values. MC1 Gamer, they should just add the points to the War Scrolls. I think they possibly will do that at some point. You would think so, wouldn't you? It would make sense to get it all in one place.
Kai Baker says, I have a copy of the General's Handbook in front of me right now. Well, Kai, you're obviously doing something that we're not. We don't have a copy. So congratulations.
Maybe he was able to get it from a shop that already has it in stock, but technically aren't supposed to sell it yet. Because I'm sure it hasn't been released yet. Let's see. MC1 Gamer tells him to burn it. Actually, if you made a video burning the General's Handbook before it's officially released, that would get big hits, wouldn't it?
I mean, you know, it would, Andy. Always shock value. But I was just thinking, this is kind of like, does this signal the end of Ninth Age? You know? How about that for a headline?
Bum, bum, bum. But if you put up a video on your channel, the end of 9th age, that would do tremendous numbers, I think. Let's see. We've got quite a lot of comments here. Kai Baker is really impressed with my orange background, clearly. He says it messes with my colour balance. And technically it doesn't. I intentionally messed with my colour balance to make it as orange as possible. Because to my eye, right here and now, it's very, very orange. But because of the unusual lighting in this corner of the room, on the camera it came out a little bit reddish. So I tinkered with my webcam settings a bit. But fear not, because I've ordered an even more orange backdrop. And I'll use this one for something else in a more well-lit area. But behind me is going to be even more blatantly orange than this very, very soon.
I suppose the next step, Andy, is to dye your hair orange.
I don't know. I think that's a step too far, and I like having a soul. Got some more comments here. Matt Skews, isn't 9th Age like a completely different game? Yes. 9th Age is a completely different game. It's like 8th edition, but with people... They made a pile of wish lists and then changed various rules to suit their needs, as far as I can tell. And they're having a jolly good time with it, I'm sure. Let's see. Drunken_elf. Are you supporting Holland as a soccer team with that orange colour of yours? Well, possibly, but unfortunately Holland didn't make it into the European Championships this year, although that did save them the kind of humiliation that England suffered on a larger stage than how they suffered. They suffered the same embarrassment. I think they actually lost to Iceland in the qualifiers, but that's still not on the big stage, is it? So that's going to be forgotten more easily, I'm sure.
It was so embarrassing, wasn't it? I mean, fair play to Iceland, but you know, the thing is, you get a bunch of players together that pretty much hate each other because they have to compete with each other every week, and half your team that's on the field is made up of Tottenham players who basically bottled it in the last 6 to 8 games of the season, and
were completely worn out from the season.
Well, anyway, guess what? They bottle it again. You know, why was look, I've gone for ages. Why was Drinkwater not there? Why wasn't we do we have natural wingers? You know, like Townsend or Albrighton, people that can actually cross the ball. Walker crossed it twice in 4 matches. Sterling crossed it 0 times in the 3 matches he played.
He did win a penalty though, which is more than Rooney did for the entire tournament.
Rooney just seemed to play the Man United way, and that was just passing over the side, looping the ball over to the side. It was just round and round and round.
Well, my parting thought on football for this week is going to be, when are England going to appoint a manager that isn't just a really boring, safe bet who'll coast us through an easy qualifying group and then lose the first sign of any trouble in a major tournament? It's been a while, hasn't it, since we actually had a manager who propelled us into threatening in a tournament.
Yeah, we're talking about Slaven Bilic or Glenn Hoddle again.
Well, I don't think they'd be any worse than the recently departed regime.
Well, I'm up for Wales doing well now. Wales or Italy, because I'm half Italian, so I'm going to go for.
Well, I'm not sure who I'm supporting them. Probably Belgium, actually. I think they're fun to watch.
Well, it's Wales versus Belgium next.
And I do play Belgians in Bolt Action, so do have a little bit of affinity there. And of course, they have the Ginger Maestro, Mr. Kevin De Bruyne, playing for them. Anyway, that's enough about soccer ball. Let's move on, shall we? Let's see if anyone's talking about orange in the comments still. Yes, they are. Notched Spear. One of the paint schemes in the Iron Jaws Battle Tome uses my shade of orange, apparently. Well,
what's that? Repulsive orange, is it called?
I'm sure it's not called that. I'm sure it's called luxurious orange. Wasgob, Andy could just dye the non-visible areas of hair orange. I beg your pardon. I assume, of course, he's talking about leg hair right there. I don't know if orange leg hair would look very stylish
One thing I have to mention, Andy, and while the camera is still on me, I've got to show everyone Dark Ops stuff that I got a little while back. Just how awesome it is. This is the portcullis. Look at that. Splendid.
Is it all stuck together now?
Yeah. Look, I'll put a what are these guys called again?
The pink horror.
Yeah, there's a pink horror, so it gives you some idea of the size of this thing. And you can, it's got ramparts as well. We mentioned that. I think that is just beautiful, that is. So check out the Dark Ops stuff.
Yeah, I still need to finish assembling the piece of terrain from Dark Ops. People will have seen the cemetery graveyard stuff in one of the battle reports, but I've still got an actual building that I haven't put together yet.
Okay, this is superb. I don't really want to paint it, you know. It comes sort of detailed already, so you don't even need to paint it if you don't want to. But this comes with like siege ladders. You know, that is brilliant. All laser cut, fine quality, easy to put together, and really a decent price as well. So.
And what was the name of the manufacturer and supplier of that product, Mr. Remington?
Was it Dark Ops?
I think it was Dark Ops.
May it have been Asylum Wargaming?
Well, Asylum Wargaming, of course, the sponsors of this show. When you're placing an order with Asylum Wargaming, don't forget to enter the code ANDY2D6 for an additional 5% off their already heavily discounted stock, including all GW products available.
Absolutely superb.
Indeed. So I think it's about time to wrap this one up, Mr. Remington, even though we have quite a lot of viewers in here hanging on our every word. So it's been slow month, amazingly active Age of Sigmar week, and I think it's only going to get crazier from here because we're going to be getting the official war scrolls all in English, hopefully next week for us to look at, and maybe leaks from what's coming after that. Maybe more stuff from the General's Handbook as well, because people who've had early access to it will have released their thoughts by then. So we'll be able to look at some of that stuff. And MC1 Gamer is just typing out Dark Ops in all caps in the comments. It's one hell of a company. I'd certainly buy all their products. Let's see. Any other last minute interesting comments before we turn things over to the musical maestro, Mr. Remington? Well, while we're waiting for any last second comments, I'll remind you, don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to leave a permanent comment by refreshing the page after the show is over, because permanent comments live forever, not just for Christmas. And with that, I have here a beautiful site for our audience to look at, while Mr. Remington plays us out with a song.
Let me plant a seed in the forest of Garan. I said, let me plant a seed in the forest of Garan. If anyone can plant a seed, then Remington can. Let me plant a seed in your forest of Garan. If anyone can watch it grow, then Remington can.
Andy Palooza.